they even had one time today. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Aaron Cheers Spiritual Wine. I'm here to give you a word on tonight. And this topic here going to be good because you're going to sit at the table like a king. This is going to come from chapter David and Mephibosheth. You know, that's Jonathan's son. So a lot of times I can't pronounce the name. I'm going to say Jonathan's son. It's a long name. Chapter going to come from 2 Samuel chapter 9, verse 1 to 12. So now David think everyone in Saul family is dead. You know, so David wants to show kindness and give all that belongs to Saul to anyone that's in his bloodline. You know, so he figures somebody in his bloodline, you know, but he never thought that Jonathan's son is still alive. Because, you know, he loved Jonathan. You know, he loved Jonathan. So now David asks, is there anyone still left in the house of Saul to whom I can show kindness, you know, for Jonathan's sake? You know, so he trying to find out if anyone else in that bloodline is still alive. You know, because see, back then, you know, when they killed the king, they killed everyone in that bloodline because they don't want nobody else to get on the throne. You know, so that's why David think everyone is dead because they had killed all three of his sons were sitting up there. You know, and so that's what Saul, you know, that's when Saul realized that I'm gonna kill myself. You know, so they do that back then so no one else can get to be on the throne. But they didn't know about Jonathan's son. You know, so back then when they wanted to kill the king, they would kill the king and all his children from seeking the throne. So now they think all the bloodline is gone from Saul bloodline. You know, they think everyone is gone. You know, so now David asks Saul's servant. Now his servant is still here and working under David. You know, so the Saul's servant is there, and no one still don't know he alive besides the servant, but he never told David. You know, so from the house of Saul, to whom I can show God kindness, you know, his servant answered. You know, so there is still a son. So the servant said there's still a son, you know, Jonathan's son, that's still alive. You know, but he is lame in both feet. You know, so I don't know why he ain't told David that earlier. You know, and the reason why he stated that he's still alive and lame in 2 feet because he was letting David know. Because see, back then, if you was handicapped or whatever, you was not allowed to go into the tent or the temple. You know, so that's why he was letting him know. Okay, he alive, but he lame in both of his feet. So the servant asked that he lame, and because back then neither the sick nor the cripple or the lame could not serve in a temple. So the lamb was at the mercy of those now who took care of them and carried them from place to place. You know, cause you remember we ain't got to it yet. That's part of what Jesus after Jesus with Peter. You know, when Peter and walked up and that man was crippled. He wasn't allowed to go in a temple. No sick, no crippled is not allowed to go in the temple. Remember, he used to always sit on a tank. You know, as Peter said, could I help you with anything? You know, because Peter told him, I don't have, you know, no silver and gold. You know, what I have is the name of the Lord. You know, so they weren't allowed to go in a temple. You know, so they was carrying him around. You know, but in this case, you know, Jonathan's son had been taking care of himself. You know, he didn't let that stop him. He found sensory in his condition. You know, so that's why he had to let David, you know, before he came to David's house. You know, so David asked, you know, what he saying at? You know, that's what he asked the servant. You know, so he is at the house of the son of Ammon in Deborah. You know, so that's some kind of small little island. Cause remember when the nurse carried him off and he felt, that's how he got lamb and he was like 5 years old. You know, so the nurse already picked up. You know, when she heard they killed his parents, his grandfather, and everything, all the brothers that keep on getting on the throne, she hurried up and grabbed the baby to protect him and took him somewhere and hide him. And he fell down. That's how he got lame in both of his feet. So she took her to this small little island, and she took care of this baby. She already loved the baby. She was his nurse. So now David is hearing that Jonathan's son are alive. And see, David happy because, he loved the Jonathan. For Jonathan's son to still be alive, he going to take care of Jonathan's son. So David had him, bro, from that small island, from the house where he was at, and when Saul, when the son of Jonathan came to David, now this nurse raised him right. This nurse raised him. Now he very respectful. So when he see David, he just automatically just bow down. Cause see, I don't know if David ever saw the child. Since he was friends with Jonathan, I don't know if it's a son. Cause he was 5 years old when all this shit happened. So he bowed down. He paid honor to David. So David said to the son, he told him, "Don't be afraid." Because see, the son was scared. The son was afraid because he like the king wants to meet me. He thought the king wanted to kill him because he know his parents, his grandfathers, they all got killed. So he thinking the same thing gonna happen with him. Because I don't even think he ever met David because he was just 5 years old. So he will surely show you kindness. He said, "Don't be afraid. All I want to do is show you kindness. For the sake of your father Jonathan." He said, "I just want to show you kindness for the sake of your brother, your father Jonathan. So I will restore to you. I will restore to you all that belongs to your grandfather's son. I restore to you all the land that belongs to your grandfather's son, and you will always eat at my table." Now you see how this story is? You see how this story is? Everyone died in his family. He got lamb in both his feet from falling down. The nurse had to take him in a smaller island. So he lived a normal life. He lived a normal life. That's God doing. God protect this boy. And God had this nurse to protect him and hide him. So God will hide you for a while. Until it's time for you to be represented. You see what I'm saying? So God knew he had a blessing for this boy. So the son was afraid. He was afraid to visit the king. Who wanted to treat him like a king. Now who wanted to treat him like a prince? So this son had fear because he didn't know what the king had wanted. He also had felt unworthy. So by he handicapped, he feel unworthy. And he know David's a king. He said, "This king wants to meet me." He didn't know what David wanted him. So a king wants to meet him. He crippled, so he think he unworthy. So but he did not refuse to give. So he refused to give. Nobody ain't gonna refuse to give. Okay, I think I'm unworthy. Okay, give me the gift. So he followed him to receive everything that David said is it being owed to him from his grandfather. So his treatment of this son has showed David character of a man of God. So David's a good man. Because you remember he kept on running from his grandfather. David could have killed him, but David kept on saving his life because David respect God anointed. God prophet. David respect that. David won't put his hands on something that God had touched this person. God had anointed Saul. And David respect all God prophets. So he is a man of character that he want to show kindness, to this boy that's handicapped. And back then they didn't allow, them to come in the temple. They didn't allow them to come around. They'll carry them around and put them on a corner somewhere, and why everybody had to go around to go in the temple. They wasn't allowed to go around no one, but a leader who accept his obligation, to show love and mercy, his generous provision for Jonathan's son goes beyond any political benefit that he might have received. Now, this son gonna receive so much love from David. because David loved the Jonathan, and just to look at this boy, it's like he looking at Jonathan, So now this boy been lame since 5 years old. 5 years old, he been living with his nurse, hiding out, and now this young man about to be rich. Now he been hiding out, living a normal life on a small little island, we don't know how saw servant, know that he still was alive. Some kind of way he must have saw him while he was in the field or something like that, But the servant knew, that Jonathan's son was alive, So now this boy here is about to be rich, He about to own everything that his grandfather owned, And then on top of that, David said, "You will always eat at my table. You will always eat at my table." So now the king is going to eat. So now the king, now he about to eat at the table like a king. So sit at the table like a king. He already feel like he unworthy. Now David is really showing kindness to this boy. This boy went from living a normal life. That's God doing. God had him hidden. Now God said it's time for you to show yourself. It's time for you to be blessed. It's time for you to sit at the table with kings. Because God good for setting a table for you. It's time for you to sit at this table. So now see, Saul, his grandfather, disrespect on God, regard his command, but God showing kindness and love to his son. God moved Saul out the way and putting the son about to sit on that throne, about to sit at that table, what Saul used to sit at. So this son bowed down, feeling unworthy. Now he said, now David told him, you're going to eat at this table. Always. You're going to eat at the table. And see, number kings eat at the table. So he going to eat at the table like a king's son. You see what I'm saying? So now, he bowing down, he feeling unworthy. He feeling unworthy. Now he said, who, me? You notice me? A dead dog like me? Who me? Who me gonna sit at this table? If I was looking down at his feet, who me? A dead dog? You notice me? To sit at your table? I'm telling all the child of God. We all are worthy. No matter we come from down here, and God always rise you up. God always treat us like kings and queens. If God said, we are worthy to sit at the table with other kings, don't you never feel like you're unworthy. You are worthy to sit at a table with kings, managers, supervisors, business advisors. You are worthy to sit at the table with all of those people that are gonna be there. Don't never feel like you're unworthy. So he feel like he unworthy. He like, who me? Who me? A dead dog? Somebody like me, like a dead dog? I'm crippled and everything. You want me to sit at the table with y'all? All y'all kings, all y'all managers, all y'all supervisors, all you big advisors. You want me to sit at the table with y'all? And they were like, yes, always. Always. Don't question yourself. Don't question yourself. Someone give you an invitation to sit at the table, and you sit at the table with managers, supervisors, advisors, and everything else. You sit at the table. Because God look at us as kings and queens. God look at us like we up here. God don't think small. We come from the ground, but God raised us up to the top. You see what I'm saying? You know what he did with Joseph? Joseph was in that pit. What God did? Had somebody raise him up out of that pit. He was in prison. God raised him up out of there. He put a dream in someone. And they had another church but to go get him out of there. And once he got out of there, interpret that dream, he was no longer going back to that jail. God had to rise him up. See, God don't like for us to think small. He want us to think big. So if someone in power, want you to sit at the table. Don't think you dead meat. Don't think you unworthy. You have to think. You have to think that you're worthy. You got to think like you're a king. You got to think like you're a queen. Don't never turn the invitation down. Don't never put your head down and think you're not worthy. So God had him hiding, and waiting for the right time and the right moment to bless this little boy. He didn't grow up to be a young man. He was 5 years old, and God waited, for the right time to bless him, to give him everything that his grandfather owned. Now he's sitting in the